Well, hello traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little, and this is a continuation of the perennial question: how do you find a trade? Usually when you're looking for a trade, it depends on the trend. All right, the trend of the market. And when we're talking about the market, we're talking about the S&P 500 probably, or potentially the NASDAQ. No matter which one it is, you can pop into the indexes and look at them. So let's just pick the S&P 500. It's going to pop up a bunch of screens, and I'm going to take and redraw some of these screens so that you can see them. But with TA Today, you don't actually have to look at the charts. You can get a pretty good idea just looking at the trading cube, and although this is a little bit small, I can read it for you here. Sideways, 76% of a daily, 82% in terms of mean time to failure on the intermediate term time frame. So in other words, both of these time frames are sideways, intermediate and short term. So this is daily, this is weekly. And on the long term, it's actually bearish still because it hasn't gotten back over a swing point high. Given that, right, these are a little bit extended. And so they're going to change trend at some point. They're either going to go bearish or they're going to bullish. That's kind of important to know. So now let's quickly, while we're doing this, let's just look at a chart. And I usually trade on the intermediate term time frame. We said it's sideways. It's been that way for a while. Well, yeah, it's been that way for a reasonably good amount of time since here, which is about 4 months now. But you can see the range, right? This range has been in effect for quite a while. Range is about like that. And where are we? We're up towards the top of the range. If it gets over the swing point high, then this trend would change. It would change to bullish. Now, it still wouldn't be outside that range, but if you look at this maybe with the range down here, because that's where the beef of the move has been, then yeah, it looks like it might be a breakout. And I've been talking actually to members about a pop and a drop. In other words, you pop over this, you blow off a bunch of stops, and then you drop right back down in there. But leaving all that aside, right now the sideways trend. Now, usually the trend's your friend until it ends. And what that really means is that most of the time, anybody trading the quote-unquote trend, in this case sideways, they're going to be on the right side of the trade. And if it's a sideways trend and you're up towards the top, what's the trade? Well, it's not to buy it, it's to actually short it, right? The trade would be to short it to the downside, because as you move towards the top, what does it do? It comes right back. And so here we are again. We're right up there. It should be the downside. Now, at some point that will fail and it will go the other way, or it will get down here and it will go the other way. But the trend is your friend. But there are things that are not on this same trend, and how do you find those, right? Well, it depends on your time frame. I picked the intermediate term time frame, which is the weekly chart. But it also depends on how you want to go about it, how you want to find the trade. In the first video we did, we said, hey, there's something you run across that triggers a trade thought, and you go look for it that way. There's other ways to do it, and that's what this video is about. And that is hey, just look at the sectors, right? Just like we just looked at the general trend of the overall market. We can look at just sectors that are strong. And if we think we're near a breakout, why don't we just look at the sectors that are strong and already bullish and be on that side of the trade? And even if we're wrong, if it's in a range and it comes back down some, then these bullish ones will just come back down and test where they broke out and eventually turn back up again is the idea. So can we find some of those? Well, again, luckily, when I built these tools, I made them pretty simple to use. So let's pop into the sector trends. And to do that, I can come back over here and I can click on sector trends. And it will pop up all the trends for all the sectors as well as the general market. Now, I went through these already and I said, okay, I'm interested in intermediate term time frame. I want to find all stocks, sectors that have a bullish trend on the intermediate term time frame. I checked them all. Once I do that, then I can just simply come in here and say display selected, and that's going to pop up a watch list, and it's going to pop up this watch list, and it will allow me to go through them. So we'll just flip through a couple of them. First one pops up is EEM, which is the emerging markets. You can see this also is very much sideways. Probably about right there. Within that, you've kind of got this going on. It's kind of towards the bottom. So yeah, if you wanted to trade this to the upside, I guess you could, but this is just a sloppy chart. That's on the daily. Here's the weekly, big long trend, been this way since, well, my goodness, a year now. So this one doesn't look that interesting. So if it doesn't look interesting, just look at the next one. So let's look at the GDX. So this is the gold miners. You can see here on the daily, got a trend here at the top, or had a trend higher, and now it's range trading at the top. If we move over to the weekly and say, what does that one look like? Well, the weekly looks a lot more interesting because the weekly broke out here across two different swing point highs. And now it's testing them, right? There's one here, there's one here, and here's the test. It's tested, tried to get it back higher, and now it's testing it again. That's the second test. Second test says it probably will get deeper, and that would mean that it's probably going to try and trade back towards the bottom. That's the GDX on the weekly. So this looks good. Got a nice high volume bar here, another one there, that overlap area down here looks really strong. But this could retrace. Is there a better trade? Well, let's go to the next one. So the next one, it looks like it's gold, and gold, of course, being about the same. Nice big push up, then your range trading to the sideways. Here's the weekly. This one looks stronger. Retest regens up here. This one actually looks really good. So if I look here, I can see this, right? That's the breakout. That's where you broke out right here. And look at this volume that came up in this particular one. Very hard to get back down this deep. So any buy would be in this area. So I like this particular chart. But there could be others, right? And so you have to just flip through them all. And I've already done that. And actually the next one is the most interesting one. This is the IHI, which is the medical devices. You can see a nice big spike up here, right? And now it's a range trade. This is on a daily chart. We get looking at dailies first. You got a nice range. You got two swing point lows here. You got two up there on the highs. So whenever you get the break higher or lower, right, it's probably going to have some juice behind it. And the good thing about this thing is it would already moved higher, so you would expect the higher case to be the more probable one. If I look at the weekly, you got a range trade there too, right? That range trade was from here to there. And what did it do? It got over the top of it, and now it's coming back in to test it. Now this is a critical area. Now it may have just faked a breakout. In other words, it may have broke out and got sucked back in, or it may just be testing and it's going to continue that extension to the upside. You don't know which it is, but what you can do is you can make a calculated bet. And the way you do that is you look for things that tell you things that you know probabilities of. And we know that when we come back in and test two swing point highs after a breakout on both the daily and the weekly, that we have a pretty good probability that this thing is going to try and regenerate to the top side. So knowing that, what I'm interested in is trying to buy it somewhere in here. I like the way this one's set up of all the ones I've looked at. And if I pop over to the monthly chart, you can see here as well, all of your stiff resistance was in this area, all the way back to here. And so you should have really good support in this area. You don't have to risk a lot. That's what you're looking for in a good trade. I like that setup. That's a good one. You can follow me on Twitter. You can also follow me here, of course. Just hit the like button if you like what you see. And then also, if you care, subscribe and you'll get updates when I publish. So to wrap this up, we looked at the sectors that were strong. We could look at those that are weak if our bias is that way. We could also do something else, which is what we will do in the next video, and that is we could drill down on a promising sector. We don't have to stay at the sector level. We can go down and find the best stocks inside that sector. And next time I'll show you how to do that. Have a great one, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.